Hello and welcome to another episode of Sounds as Coleman. I'm your host Alex Miller, and today we have
Jason Button
and Rory Drake.
Right, so let's kick things off with last night's game against Birmingham.
Oh, do we really have to though? Because after last night, I just can't be after football anymore.
Because you were feeling quite positive ahead of that game.
I was feeling really positive. I was thinking, get at least a point from this, and we can possibly get somewhere with the season.
In fact, not just really positive, you slated me for being really negative.
I did. Away from Mike's and away from all this, I was going mad at you for thinking that it was actually going to go badly against Birmingham, and now I regret that so much.
Because obviously there was a lot of positivity after the whole win, obviously, but it's just typical Sunderland. After the positive result, it goes the opposite way, and it never got going at Birmingham at all. And being 2-0 down, I think it was at half time.
Yeah, 2-0 down, 44th minute, just before half time.
It was basically a game over then, and I think Sunderland played well for the last 10 minutes, which pretty much sums it up. Start the game when it's already over.
That's the thing, 'cause I saw someone put on Twitter saying that the last 10 minutes were really good. It's just a shame about the first 80. And like you said, it sums up the club at the moment. And even Chris Coleman, after the game, said that there's no point in trying to get two games together when you can barely get 2 sets of 45 minutes together.
There's nothing more Sunderland than that.
I mean, you've been ripped apart by one of the worst teams in the league as well.
They hadn't scored, I think they scored 8 home goals the entire season, and then scored 3 against us, which pretty much sums up our defence.
After the whole game, we were just saying there was a lot of positivity going around, and it could. I was saying all throughout the build up towards the Birmingham game, 4 points from 2 games could. I've been saying this feels like every week now, but it could have kick-started the season.
It's like we've been saying it for a while that we just need to get another win, another positive performance.
It just needs to be any sort of run of form.
It seems impossible for Sunderland at the minute. I don't know if it's because of that. I suppose obviously the lack of depth and injuries, but just don't seem like that extra. It's almost like a mentality issue.
Well, you say it at the minute. I feel like it's been about 10 years.
Yeah, true. I can't remember last time.
5 at least.
But I do think it is mentality issue which has been there for, as you say, quite a while. It doesn't seem to have that belief almost that we can go into another game and obviously get a win.
Yeah, I do feel as though we should mention that whole game, because there were some positives that came out of it, and it really is one of those situations where things were going so well for just those 90 minutes, and even then Hull still had chances, but ignoring that, just taking the win from that afternoon was a lot. It was Asoro's first goal, I believe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So it was Asoro's first goal, and I'm just disappointed, to be honest, more than anything else, that there was no real opportunity to build on that from last night.
It's the fact that Coleman said there was it seemed like there was a lack of effort, which it's not something you'd expect after such a positive win against a team who's obviously around.
It's not something you'd expect from a lot of the team, but there was a new name,
I was about to say this. Yeah.
And I would say from him it is something that we have come to expect.
He's played one full set of 90 minutes in the last 2 months, and that was an under-23s game.
Oh, he only played about 60 minutes of that.
So he didn't even play a full game. So he's clearly not match fit. You saw it last night. I'd say, if it wasn't all of them, at least 2 of the goals that Birmingham scored were because of not necessarily general incompetence, but just knowing that he hasn't played in so long, especially at that level.
It just shows how important I think John O'Shea is to the team, especially when he's got 2 pretty young centre backs next to him. He's almost I've heard I think Clark sort of talk about how he's almost like a calming influence in the middle.
Again,
the 3.
Again, going back to the whole game, Clark Salter, I think it's only fair to say that he had a very solid game against Hull.
It was I think a lot of players had a pretty solid game, including Catmull, who was slated from time to time on this podcast.
Catmull had the game of his season, didn't they, against Hull?
That's what I wanted to see from Catmull, and it was something we hadn't seen for quite a while now. But
I also feel as though it's only fair to mention his obvious foul on Seb Larsson, because that got Twitter going for a good couple of days now.
that wasn't. I wasn't really complaining about that. Though.
That's probably all the highlights of the season so far, to be fair.
I was a bit surprised at how little he put into it, though. I thought he'd put more into it.
Actually, talking about going back to the goal, like I mean, I can't remember when we've had such a sort of almost flowing passing move, which has resulted in a goal as well. Because I remember seeing like an extended highlight of the goal. We passed the ball about for quite a bit, and obviously then we're like really decisive in how Honeyman slipped it through a solo.
I mean, it's not quite Barcelona, but for the squad that you got, it's
not going to get better.
It's one of the best goals that you're going to get, yeah. And Asuro as well, fantastic finish, great movement to get in behind, and fair play to him for that. But again, we just have to keep coming back to the disappointment of last night, because it's just not acceptable to have that sort of performance against a team like Birmingham.
Yeah, I mean, Birmingham, to be fair, they've got Sam Gallagher up front who started scoring a few more goals recently, and Jacques Magoma's hit a run of form, so it was always going to be a tricky game because those two going forwards can cause problems for teams. But I don't think you should be losing 3-1 to Birmingham. I think, really, that's 4 points Birmingham are taking from Sunderland this season now, and you can't be losing 5 points because you only picked up 1 against Birmingham. You can't be doing that against a relegation rival.
It's just the fact that how sloppy we were defensively. Like that's something which has been, it's almost been a positive in the past month or so. Like the defence hasn't been that bad.
I mean, since Coleman came in, that was one of the first things he tried to sort out, isn't it? Just keep clean sheets and try and build on from there. But last night, it all just seemed to go so horribly wrong.
And again, I feel like we haven't brought up a goalkeeping mistake or goalkeeping errors in a while, but Wrighty went back into I wouldn't say Millwall mode, but he went back into his negative, poor self again. So I remember the first goal I've seen it back and gets beat at his near post and pretty much goes underneath him.
I've not seen a goal scored like that for a while, to be honest. It did seem to go straight through him, and it's just, how can you be a professional goalkeeper and have that be a trait of yours? It's just unacceptable.
Mika's available.
That's the thing, because transfer deadline day, as we speak, and as of 3:45 when we're recording now, it's not been on well, to say the least.
Yeah, just staying on the goalkeeping front, Eldin Jakupovic from Leicester isn't happening because Leicester don't want to get rid of any goalkeepers. And then we had Andy Lonergan from Leeds that looked set to go through until about half an hour ago.
I think that was more the club and the player not being able to sort out the contracts, which says a lot. Again, it comes back to the club's financial state.
And it's looking at the moment as if Dimi Konstantopoulos might be the next goalkeeper they turn to, but we're not seeing too many other names being thrown out there.
It's almost like they've gone back to square one now, because apparently Coleman was really frustrated that Lonergan hadn't already been signed last night, so something's obviously gone wrong there. It's the fact that I can't say the whole goalkeeper's name.
What, Jakupovic? Jakupovic, there you go. All I'm going to say is thank God the Sunderland haven't signed him, because otherwise the state of this podcast for the next few months would be horrendous.
Well, I guess there is one positive at the minute, and that's that Celtic are also looking for a goalkeeper, and they've been linked with about 500. So the shortlist should already be there, and it's been drawn up by Celtic instead. Just go for one of the ones they don't get.
Well, they're actually looking at a former Sunderland goalkeeper, supposedly Trevor Carson from Motherwell, I think it is. But,
the big difference between Sunderland and Celtic, I know there's a lot of difference as it is.
A bit of quality.
But Celtic have money. Sunderland just haven't got the money to spend.
But I feel like with some of the goalkeepers, okay, this one isn't a great example, but I've seen Celtic have been linked with Freddie Woodman on loan from Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle aren't likely to want to send him on loan to Sunderland, but if they knew he was going to get games, they might consider it.
I still don't think that would go down that well.
I don't think it would go down that well, but I think that there's keepers who Celtic have been linked with of that ilk who I think could come in and do a decent job for Sunderland.
It seems like we're after more experienced, obviously, with like sort of Lonergan, Jakupovic.
I mean, after what we've heard about John O'Shea over the last couple of weeks, experience is needed.
I guess that is a good point, especially as Browning and Clark-Salter are quite young, so getting an experienced keeper in and hopefully a vocal keeper in who can help when John O'Shea either is or isn't there to try and organise the defence, because that's something I haven't seen too much of Sunderland this season, but when I have, I've not heard that much from Reuter or Steele. Neither of them seem particularly vocal keepers.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Reuter is you almost want a really commanding sort of like, he's going to take charge of like his area and like obviously like almost control like the defence as well. But I suppose if we get Dimmy Constantopoulos, he is obviously very experienced, being like almost 40 now.
And he is quite vocal.
Yeah, so it's one I could see happening, to be fair.
And in all honesty, better than Steele, guaranteed, because there aren't many people who are worse than Steele at this point. And Rossier's just done, as far as I'm concerned, not enough to show that he is good enough to play.
Away from goalkeepers, just for a second, we might come back to them in a bit. It's not looking very well in another area of the pitch either. Sunderland have been looking for a striker all window. I've been linked with 4 or 5 names today, and 2 of them are now looking like they're dead deals.
I mean, this is coming from Alan Nixon, who's saying that Jordan Rhodes is going to be too expensive.
And then there's Nuhiu from Sheffield Wednesday as well, which looks like it's off.
To be fair, I'm quite pleased about that second one, because as far as I've heard from Sheffield Wednesday fans, he offers very little.
It looks like
his goal scoring record isn't great, and the fans don't seem to like him. So
I think it was just because like we're looking for sort of like a target man. I mean, I suppose that's probably the bare minimum you're going to get with him, because he's not going. But even if we do get like a target man, there's not. I suppose Lualamar might change things, but there's not many players who are actually going to feed off him and do things in an attacking sense, like score goals.
It does look like at this moment that it is going to be Ollie McBurney from Swansea or nobody. And McBurney's been linked with Rangers, and the talk is that the McBurney deal could only go ahead if Swansea sign Andre Ayew, but he is currently at Swansea having a medical, so that looks like McBurney should be available. But will he choose Sunderland or would he choose Rangers? Well, Rangers win more games, so
it would be a difficult situation to try and get anybody into the club at the moment. Obviously, there's not long till the transfer window closes. It's deadline day, everyone's trying to get everything done. There's very little money to go around. And let's face it, if you're a professional footballer who's got their future ahead of them, would you want to come and play for Sunderland? Even if it is just on loan for 5 months?
Well, you made a comment earlier that Jason Steele doesn't look like a goalkeeper, and I think if they can't get anybody else in, you're just going to have to play Steele up front.
I don't think he could be much worse than he is in goal. So. But
it's worth a shot.
I think the only way we're probably going to get a striker is that if we can get one off like a top Premier League team, obviously like someone from the under-23s, because they won't bring a lot of wages. And I mean, if we say like Man City, I don't think they'd be that bothered about a couple grand or whatever it is a week for one of the youth. Like take their wages on board. So
somebody who potentially could have been a decent option would have been Omar Bogle from Cardiff, but he looks to be going to Shrewsbury. That's not gone through yet, but it looks like it is going to go through. Which he's not one of the best strikers in the Championship, but he is a decent striker and he can play as a target man. He's pretty big. He's scored goals before, albeit at a lower level. So it's a bit disappointing that his name hasn't come up at all in links to Sunderland yet.
One thing I would say though is staying much closer to home is that the strikers that the club has at the moment, as in Osoro and Maja, they're not bad players. It's just having that depth, because if one of them goes, I think we're all aware that one of them is not going to be able to do anything up front on their own unless they have major support.
And
if that is to happen, then that support is going to have to come from out wide. And I'm guessing then that would mean cutting out 3 at the back, /5 at the back, and going with 4-3-3, with potentially McGeady and Lualua out wide.
If Alex wants a striker on loan from a top Premier League club, and Joel Osoro can use his contacts, he could get his compatriot to join maybe. There's been a Man United striker linked with a move recently.
I think he fancies him going to Los Angeles, but
I'd choose Sunderland over Los Angeles, mate.
I do think that it's not a case of finding the quality. because it's at the club already. It's finding somebody who is good as well as these two young strikers, because
Just get Ibrahimovic down to Seaburn and
as I've said, like there's quality there, and it's annoying. It's annoying speaking about it because it's not that there's a lack of ability there. It's the lack of substance. There's no real. Alright, if they're injured, who do we bring in next, or who do Sunderland bring in next? It's a case of. It's just a case of frustratingly not having the money to bring anyone else in.
And it looks like, I could imagine even seeing now, like Lualua's probably going to be playing up front, purely because I suppose he's got the pace. I mean,
can he finish? Because I've not seen. I've seen highlights of him.
I don't think he's got a terrible goal scoring record, but I mean, I don't think he's probably played up front. So
I do feel at this rate, before the end of the season, we'll be seeing Lyndon Gooch playing as a false 9.
No, that's not a bad shout, you know, because he can play just behind the striker.
But I mean, we've got to have a few injuries.
There's no striking options apart from those two, unless you're going to dip down into the under 18s or something. Because there's very. I know.
And there doesn't seem to be much space for him in midfield at the moment either, which won't be helped by the fact that Sunderland look set to announce the signing of Ovi Ajaria on loan from Liverpool. He's reportedly had his medical, passed his medical. I'm not really sure why it hasn't been announced. He's probably at the stadium holding up a scarf now or something like that. But that's a deal that does look to be going through, which is positive because I've seen him play a couple of times and he is a quality midfield player.
Because they're saying that it's going to be they're saying that it's going to be a replacement for Didier Ndom, who's still not been confirmed as a Watford player yet. It's going to be happening in the next couple of hours, I'm guessing. I'm guessing you're the only one who's seen him play around here. How does he play?
Well, I would say he's more in the Darren Gibson mould, to be honest, but maybe even better than Darren Gibson, because I know obviously Gibson had started playing well before his injury, but I would feel like.
So he's more of a playmaker, is what you say?
Yeah, I feel like he's more of a playmaker, and he can do the box to box role quite well. He's got an engine. He's got a good pass. He's an all-round midfield player, really, and I think he'd be a really good addition to the Sunderland squad. But then I thought James Vaughan would be a pretty good addition to the Sunderland squad.
But yeah, I've heard good things about him, and he's obviously he's highly regarded at Liverpool under Klopp. So if he can be, I think he'd probably pretty much go in the first team as well, depending on fitness of Johnny Williams as well. But just gives us another option. It makes the midfield a bit more creative as well, which is always great to see.
Yeah, and to be honest, from what I've seen, I think he's a fair bit better than Didier Ndong as well. So
whoa.
This season.
Well,
I still love Didier Ndong. I'm not sure why. It might be his hair, but there's something about Didier Ndong that I just really like, and I can't. I think I might be the only person on rear side to be sad that he's leaving.
After this season, I'm not at all. But I mean, I think honestly, he'd be a good player in a really good team because all he could do is just win the ball back and pass it away.
Yeah.
But I mean, he might misplace a few, but I think
he's a limited player, but what he does do well, he does it very well.
The thing is, he's not going to get that move to like obviously a big team unless somehow he performs incredibly at Watford. But I don't think he'll be missed either, and obviously it just shows how bad the recruitment policy is at Sunderland. How much we spent on him. I mean, it's not clear what sort of like figures. Like obviously, I think a lot of it was bonuses with Ndong, but hopefully, if hopefully a lot of it was based on appearances, so we don't have to pay any more money. But yeah, I don't think he'll be missed.
As a Premier League club who are looking quite actively to get rid of a striker, apparently.
It's not Ibra, is it?
No. It's Bournemouth.
Oh, don't say Lewis Graben. No. Oh, we're not going through this again.
Graben apparently has been linked with every club in the Championship, and yet none of them have signed him yet.
I mean, that would be a good story though. Just to the fact that he was so.
He doesn't want to be here in the first place.
He was so adamant that he wanted to go.
I don't think he'd be welcomed back.
Thing is, I don't think he would be a star at the start. But if he scored again, I wouldn't be that bothered. But I can't see that one happening.
The whole Chris Coleman philosophy at the moment is if they don't want to be a scrum, it's a good mentality to have. And as much as we joke,
it is to some extent.
I wouldn't want Graben coming back.
It is to some extent, but if we end up with the under-23 squad playing every week, it's not going to end well, I don't think.
I still believe in them. I know you're very you're basically a negative person in the first place.
Well, yes,
but
that comes from being a Plymouth Argyle fan.
But I really think that there's ability there in the attacking lineup that Sunderland have. It's just having that option should one of them be out for a couple of games.
I still think we are desperately missing the target man. Just because we have no out ball. I mean, obviously, I think Madger and Assault will end up being good players. Not sure at what level, but they need some help. And I think if we're going to keep playing this sort of like 3-5-2 or whatever you want to call it, we need a target man, someone to help.
Someone to help the other two younger players like play off, depending on which one's going to be starting. But it's just, again, there's no money.
I know
there's no money. No one wants to come. It's a frustrating time to be a Sunderland fan.
It's actually,
when isn't it?
It's actually, somebody's just tweeted saying, football fans, your team might be in a mess, but at least you're not in a can't afford Leeds' backup keeper's wages on a 4-month loan deal mess.
And that sums Sunderland up at the moment, doesn't it? It really does. Just, it's... Again, I'm going to keep using this word. It's just frustrating. Because it's a big club. There should be players who want to come and play for the club. And they don't, because of the state that it's in. And it's just...
I mean, it's hard to get experienced footballers on obviously on loan or in any capacity. But
what's Victor Nietzsche doing? Is he still in China?
I believe so.
I think he needs to come back. I see him putting on Instagram about how sometimes he watches Sunderland games or sees how we're doing. I mean, it can't be any worse.
Because at the whole game, I was getting major flashbacks to last year when he was powering through. Scored a brace that day, didn't he?
I mean,
Jermaine Defoe scored the other.
That performance is what we need. A target man who's going to out-muscle
really bully
but
centre backs.
Obviously, I can't see Maggio or Solo doing that. Okay, so moving away from transfer window and actually looking forward to the next game against...
I wouldn't say looking forward to it.
Yeah, that was a poor choice of words.
But I was going to say, how can you be looking forward to it after last night?
Looking towards...
There you go.
Looking towards the next home game against Ipswich, which is, I suppose, it seems like all the games are winnable games, but against a mid-table team, but do you reckon that we've got any chance this week?
Like I said, Ipswich, they're mid-table. In their last 5 games, they've only won once, but I hate to say it, I can't see how how Sunderland are going to get anything from this. I really don't. They've got some quality players. Even at the Stadium of Light, I can't see a way that anything's going to be working.
It's just you wish we got the positive result against Birmingham, but I suppose obviously the players and Chris Coleman will want to bounce back, and I mean...
Being the really negative person I am...
Go ahead.
I don't really rate Ipswich. I think it's a winnable game and I think Sunderland will win.
Oh, okay. That's a bit of spanning in the looks. I honestly, I might still be deflated from last night, but with players like Cameron Carter-Vickers in there, Burst Angelina, Dominic Iorfa, they've got some quality in there. And I can't see.
I did forget about Chelino actually, to be fair. He's a quality player. Maybe I'll go for an Ipswich win.
And I just can't see anything working. I really don't.
I reckon Mick McCarthy, obviously being the experienced manager, will know exactly how to set it up as well, because you'll want Sunderland to press it on and almost go for it more, because the more that happens, the more space it'll be, obviously at the back. But
former Sunderland as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
For me, I think it's difficult to predict how it's going to go until we know what's going to happen in the transfer window, because today there could be a couple of players who come in, as we've already said. At this point, we don't know what's happening. And then another point, Johnny Williams might be back for that because Sunderland's under 23s are playing Dunstan tonight, and he might get another run out there.
I'd imagine he would, because I'm sure Coleman said he just needs more minutes basically, and that'll be another boost. Obviously, it feels almost like it'd be sort of like a new signing, because he's barely played due to injuries basically. But
he has been very unlucky with injuries, hasn't he?
It's all about whether he can like stay fit. Cause
Though I'm not 100% sure he fits into the system at the moment. So when he comes back properly, there might be a change of formation again.
I suppose I think he'd probably take Ethan Robson's place at the minute though.
Yeah, I guess that might work. But I feel like that's a square peg in a round hole, and that's not really what you want to be doing in a relegation battle.
I think Williams and probably Coleman would both want him playing like in the attacking midfield role, but then after what he said about the Walla, he said he wants him to play as a number 10 behind him, so behind whoever plays up front. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was a change in system.
If there is, I think that could accommodate both Lualua and McGeady. I said earlier on about the 4-3-3, and if that is to come in, especially with Cattermole as a more holding midfielder, that could potentially work.
Because I mean, if only we had like a actual target man, and in fact, I think like say a half decent striker, McGeady and Lualua isn't a terrible front three if we were playing like 4-3-3 for example, and obviously with say everyone's fit, Gibson, Ovie Jaria and Cattermole, that's not terrible like obviously midfield three either, so if we could get a striker, there's almost somewhere to like build from there.
I just wish that Chris Martin deal would come through. I really do, because it looks now as though he's heading somewhere else, and
that's a big blow.
Yeah,
I think he was perfect.
I think in the entire transfer window that was a big blow. Because it was one of those deals that everyone could see actually happening.
I just don't think he fancies it, because he strung us along for a bit. He kept on saying, "Oh, we'll wait and see," or his agent was saying, "Wait another 48 hours." And in the end, he never really fancied it.
Didn't he fly out to Dubai instead?
Yeah, he went with as soon as he went to Dubai with the Derby team, I think that was it.
Yeah.
Because if he wanted to sign, he would have joined. And the fact that we wanted him before Hull, and I think it was even agreed with Derby before the Hull game, that sums it up. Like the fact that it seems like he officially spoke and said like he doesn't want to join, like just before the Birmingham game. But he would have been ideal for Sunderland. And it is a big shame that he obviously doesn't fancy it.
Especially if Chris Coleman was to revert to the system change that we're considering now.
Even if not, we need another striker there. But obviously Sunderland now 23rd in the league, but still we're not cut adrift.
That's the thing. It's so close. Like there's only 3 points between bottom and Barnsley 19th.
And to be honest, I really don't understand how Sunderland are still competitive, because every time we do this, we seem to be talking about another defeat.
I think that just shows how bad the team's around, because obviously Burton got beat against Reading. Bolton didn't. I don't think Bolton played yesterday, but Hull, they couldn't beat.
Hull can't seem to beat anyone.
Hull couldn't beat Leeds last night, so I think it's just due to the fact that there's at least 5 other incompetent teams around us. Although Birmingham have picked up in the past month, but still are only 2 points I think now above us after beating us last night. So I feel like we've said this so many times, but there's still opportunities.
There's still hope.
There's still everything to play for, even though it feels like at times it feels like Sunderland are dead and buried, but they're still right in it. It's
because we get these like random sort of wins, almost like the game against Forest, obviously with Hull. It's the difference between if you can get 2 wins, or just a couple positive results, like a win and 2 draws. Like that doesn't happen. It's a win or a loss basically.
That's the thing. I can't see. I can see Burton Albion finishing bottom, to be honest.
Burton, to me, I agree with you. I think they're gone now, because they lost 6-0 to Fulham a couple of weeks ago.
That's what I was going to say, and that must have really deflated them. They've now lost the last 3 as of this recording.
And the last one was against Reading, who are right down there as well. I feel like Burton, despite signing Darren Bent, or maybe even because they signed Darren Bent, they might. To me, they look gone.
So who would say we say Sunderland don't go down? Who are the other 2? Hull.
I'd say Bolton. Bolton, to be honest, and based on if Sunderland were to go down, based on the last game at the Stadium Light, I would have to say Hull.
I would go for Hull, because they don't look to be doing much under Nigel Adkins at the moment since he took over. They don't look that good a side. Barnsley aren't too far above, and I don't think they've got a particularly good squad at the minute.
One thing I would say is that Birmingham have barely scored 20 goals all season. In fact, they haven't. The thing is,
that's despite getting 3 yesterday.
That's the thing. It's like their defence is, compared to the teams around them, fairly solid, but they just can't score goals.
I mean, they've got some like half decent players, like Diego Jota. He played well against when he played at the Stadium of Light, and obviously Magoma and Jeremy Boga seem to be performing now. But this is the time where I think Birmingham have to try and get out of it. But obviously, I hope they don't. But they do look to be probably the most informed team of the bottom 5. So yeah, but
I would say Sheffield Wednesday aren't safe yet though. I don't think they've won in the last at least 5, and they're dropping down. Okay, at the moment they've got I think a 7-point gap, but if they don't find a win anytime soon,
it's up to Sunderland though. Like, I mean, we've got to concentrate on our own sort of, because we just got to try and win our own games, and hope obviously that other teams don't. But we've all got to focus on ourselves and hope that we can pick up the points we need, obviously, to stay up.
That's the thing. It does seem like a cliche in especially a relegation battle, but all you can do is focus on yourself. Because all you can do is just try and pick up points, and what everyone else is doing around you has to be a second thought. Especially the way that the club is at the moment, where things just nothing seems to be going right. Pick up your own form before you can even consider starting looking at anything else. It needs to happen.
Yeah, and obviously it starts with the home game against Ipswich. We keep saying we need something to build on, but
well, it's not going to get any easier after that, because even if it is a win against Ipswich, the next fixture is away at Bristol City, and to be honest, I can't see.
That's a very tough fixture.
I can't see anything coming from Ashton Gate. So even if you beat Ipswich, it's going to be again. You're probably not putting 2 wins together, and then you'd be going into the Brentford game. I would say probably not looking like getting anything out of that.
Again, really. Brentford have a really strong team. We'll get round to it in a couple of weeks' time, but there's two teams coming up now after Ipswich where we'll get round to it later on, but I can't see us beating them.
We have seen some positive performances in the past this season, though, like the likes of Wolves and like Nottingham Forest, where we did keep clean sheets at like tough stadiums to go to. But I do agree with you, it is hard to see.
Going back though, actually, to completely change what I just said, Bristol City, when they came up to the Stadium of Light, didn't look that special. I know they've played some brilliant games this season, but if you catch Bristol City on the right day, you can easily get something off them.
But Sunderland have too many wrong days.
Well, they do,
That's the thing.
But they do have those random good days that appear out of nowhere half the time.
The thing about Sunderland is that for every time they beat Fulham, they have a game where they lose 3-1 to Birmingham. Or they have 3 games where they lose 3-1 to Birmingham.
Well, that's the reason why we are where we are.
Yeah. It's just there's no consistency, and if there is, then I know Kone last night, or people wanted to see Kone back, he wasn't ready. We've said this before, and I'll say it again, he just wasn't ready to come into that team.
And if he is still here, obviously, past the deadline...
Which he is going to be now, let's face it.
I don't think... Once O'Shea, because O'Shea, I think, which is out due to illness as well, so I mean, that's not going to be out for that long, so I think he probably will go straight back into the team, and I mean, it's going to be hard for him to get back in the team unless he shows something in training which Coleman hasn't seen. But I was just surprised he played in the first place and we didn't actually change system back to 4.
So was I, because when it first came up on Twitter that he was at St Andrews, I was maybe expecting him to be on the bench, but not to start after the lack of time that he's had.
Okay, so we'll finish ours off as usual with the predictions for the Ipswich game. Rory, how do you see this one going? You did say you saw a win earlier. Has that changed?
It's difficult to predict because over the last 10 minutes I've predicted a win and a defeat and a draw. So
well, they're your options. So
I think I'm going to go. Interestingly, my flatmate's going to be going to this game, I think, and he's been to 4 Sunderland games before. One of them was a 3-3 draw with Bolton. The other 3 were 1-0 wins. I'm going to go 1-0 Sunderland.
What, on the belief of your flatmate?
He hasn't seen.
Okay,
he's been to 4 games. He's never seen Sunderland lose. That's probably the best record anybody has got watching Sunderland, and he's going again. So I think, you know what, he's going to keep it going.
To be fair, someone I met last year, who I lived with last year, he follows Sunderland home and away. He's been to far too many games up and down the country, and he's not seen him win since 2016, and that's horrendous to think. Shout out Alex if you're listening. But for this Ipswich game, I said it 5 minutes ago, I can't see anything other than a defeat. It's so tough to come back from a game like last night's so quickly and just have the crowd behind you, because let's face it, they're not going to be. They haven't been all season, and I can't blame them. So I can't even see a goal. I'm going to have to say 2-0 Ipswich.
I think I'm going to go positive.
No.
You changed your tune from about 10 minutes ago.
I know, spur of the moment sort of thing. But I think I might go 1-0. Because that's all the results ever seem to be.
I do feel like if Sunderland are going to win, it is going to be 1-0.
I mean, I can't see us scoring more than one goal ever at the minute. So.
And when the two teams faced earlier in the season, when Ipswich won 5-2.
Don't remind us of that. Please don't remind us of that.
Ipswich at that time had 2 informed strikers, and they're not in form anymore. They've still got some decent players, to be fair, despite earlier saying I don't really rate them. I don't know. If Sunderland catch them on the right day, they should win, I think. So, yeah, 1-0 for me as well.
I think basically it'll be whoever scores first will win. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up, and thanks for listening, and be sure to check us out on YouTube and on Twitter.